Hi everybody, welcome to season 3 of What's IGN Crashing On. I'm Caryn Solomon and I'm your host. And we're here to talk about what's hot in pop culture. Welcome to episode 8 of What's IGN Crashing On. This week we're all about Halloween and horror, and I'm joined by the amazing Sloan as my guest host.
I'm so glad and I'm so happy to be back talking about one of my favorite things, all things horror. And when we say horror, I don't just mean things that are genuinely scary. As long as there's an element in there that gives you a bit of a jump scare, even if it's comedy horror, I love anything that's going to make me get a little goose flesh.
So last year, for Halloween, you did like a segment. So I thought now it would be cool if we expounded on it, because like that was ages ago. That was season 1. Now we're on season 3.
Exactly. And you know what's so nice is a lot of the shows that I talked about in season 1 that were, I think I highlighted I Know What You Did Last Summer and Chucky, all of the old intellectual properties that are being remade into TV shows, all of those shows actually started dropping now this year, like around October. So it's been a great season for me personally.
And like it is like I suppose a lot of things were delayed because of COVID and stuff, but it's also like they wait until October to drop all of the shit.
To drop all of the scary things.
So what is your favorites right now? What are you loving?
I don't know if I can classify this as horror, but I was so impressed with the last season of You that came out. And I spoke a lot of shit about it, because I said the first 5 episodes were toast. I was not enjoying it. And then by episode 6, I was just like, hold on, because I normally watch my things on 1.25. Because I just want to watch it and get it over with. And I was like, I need to watch this in normal speed. I need to experience this fully immersed in it. And I thought that the 3rd season was absolutely great. And then there was a show that came out last year, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was this year, actually. I just Googled it, called The Bite. And it was a show, a miniseries, 6 episodes, starring Taylor Schilling from Orange is the New Black. And the icon Audra McDonald, who I absolutely adore, stage and screen legend. And it was basically COVID, but the COVID evolved into almost like a zombie virus. So it was Taylor quarantined in her apartment with a guy that started to turn into the zombie thing. And then her downstairs neighbor, Audra, who is a geneticist trying to figure this thing out. And I thought that was brilliant, especially if you can tell a story in 5, 6, 7 episodes and keep it tight. That to me is always a great watch.
So what do you think of like COVID order? Because like, do you not think if like it's a bit close to home?
I do feel like, especially on TV, people are already going through COVID fatigue. That's why I think the last season of Grey's Anatomy, I binned that season. I didn't even finish that because that was COVID based. But like with The Bite, it's got an element of COVID in there, but it's not based in reality. So if you're going to do that, then absolutely go for it.
I don't watch scary stuff, but I watched season 1 of Evil. Have you seen Evil?
I need to start season 2, and I'm excited for season 2 because they moved to Paramount Plus, which means that there's swear words in there now.
And probably like sex and stuff as well.
Yes.
Well, there
was. You can get away with much more on cable and streaming than you can on normal TV.
I'm so excited to watch season 2, though. Like, when I first started watching it, like I couldn't watch it at night and stuff like that. And then I got so stuck in it.
My mind that first time I watched it with that sleep paralysis demon. And I think that's what I love, because it was a scary, like the makeup and prosthetics and stuff. It looked genuinely scary. But he was so funny and so witty and so sharp. And that's what I love. Like, even when I'm scared, I still want to be entertained first.
But it's like I was terrified of that sleep paralysis thing, but it didn't
Yes.
scare me. But then after a while, I didn't wasn't scared anymore, and I got more scared of the weird, scary children. Like that
Yes.
got me way more than that sleep paralysis demon. Um, but I saw somebody tweeting about how much they love like her children, and I'm like, nah, fam. If
Whose
there's
children?
anything that
The main woman's
needs to
children.
go, yes,
No, she's got way
like,
too many children, firstly. You
and they
cannot
talk at the
have four,
same time.
5 kids, and they aren't even the focus of the show.
Oh my gosh, I've never wanted to ex children, so I mean, like, can't we just send them away on a trip and like,
Listen, they can kill off some kids in the next season. Let's just keep the stakes high at all times.
but have you seen the new? I know what you did last summer because I know you were quite
I
keen for it.
haven't, and I'd want to, but I was chatting to a friend about it, and he said the first episode was a bit slow. So with those,
Mm,
what I like to do is I'll wait until all 10 or 8 have dropped, and then I'll binge, and that way I get to enjoy it at my own time also. Because there's a new um, Chucky TV series also.
oh my gosh,
And I
no.
watched the first episode of that, and I was like, guys, how has this one doll been terrorizing us for the last 50 years? Can they not just throw this thing in a bin and set it on fire? It's plastic. Why
But
are we
doesn't it come
allowing Chucky to
back?
get away with so much?
Isn't that like what happens? Like every time I try and get rid of the doll, it comes back,
Yeah, they just keep finding new
and then
dolls to put this demon
oh,
spirit in every time.
and why must it be so ugly? I was like, who buys that doll? Like, besides the demon thing, who
No, are
buys
you
that
talking
doll
about
for your
the
child?
are you talking about the doll itself or when the face
Yes.
is damaged?
No,
Because
before
right
it's
now
even.
he's like, that's what I was going to say. He's scary with the slashes on the face, but he is
Mm,
absolutely at his creepiest when he's just in pure doll form before
yeah.
anything bad happened to him. And the worst thing about it is because of how far we've come in terms of CGI and computer graphics and all of those things, now the doll looks even worse. It's so good how lifelike they make those features because you'll literally just see the one finger moving and then I'll close my laptop
Mm.
and I'll take a walk.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm a big fan of, like I said, the old intellectual properties.
Mm,
Anytime that they, and when they do it justice, I think that is what keeps fans coming back because it's so difficult to launch things also if there's no name recognition behind it already. People are so reluctant to try new things.
mm. And what are your thoughts on the new Scream that's coming out?
I'm very excited. I have been a Scream fan since day one. Sydney Prescott is my girl for life.
So later in the episode, I spoke to Reeva, who is a horror fan on Twitter,
Hmm.
and she also like she said like Scream is like the main OG, and everybody just loves like she's the one of the best final girls ever, like
She
Sydney
is the
Prescott.
final girl, I would say. No, actually, I take that back. No disrespect to Sydney Prescott as at all, but the true OG final girl is Laurie Strode. That
Yeah, I
is
was gonna
Jamie Lee
say
Curtis
now.
in Halloween, which I actually watched in last week, Halloween Kills. And I thought that that was a bloody brilliant mess. It was just pure carnage. The storyline was paper thin, but Michael showed up and he showed out like he always does. And I thought that it was such a great movie. And like I said, it wasn't necessarily scary. So I spent the entire movie just talking shit to the screen while I watched people get killed off. And I thought it was absolutely excellent. For what
I saw.
it is, not cinematic marvels,
Mm,
but for a horror movie that this is an established brand that's been coming on for what, 50, 30, 40 years now? How long has Michael been trying to kill Laurie now? Since like
they say
77?
70s. Yeah, like
Exactly.
this. I saw a TikTok where they were like, "Oh, Mike." Michael, can't you rest now? Like,
There
this
was
lady is almost 70 and you're still chasing after.
there was a tweet that I saw in this week of Michael sitting with the mask on at a table, and it's always Michael, why are you killing me? Not Michael, what's killing you? And I feel like Michael just needs to actually sit down with Laurie and have a conversation because they keep going for each other.
Shame, yeah. Poor Jamie Lee Curtis gonna be doing these movies like in
Jamie
her
Lee Curtis
90s.
is going to be rolling in a wheelchair at the home, trying to get away from Michael, who is also in a wheelchair at the home. They are going to be going at a speed of 10 kilometers an hour, trying to kill each other. And this is all going to be before 4 o'clock because you know nap time is at 4 at the old age home.
I love to see that. So also like talking about weird situations. Um and you said you were following the like what was happening with Ruby Rose on Batwoman.
Absolutely, yes. So
So I
I
don't watch
actually
Batwoman.
started watching Batwoman when it first dropped.
Mm,
And I won't lie, Ruby is not the best actress.
mm,
She's not the worst either, but she's definitely five from the bottom. And when she left the show, I thought, okay, this obviously means they'll cancel the show then because I mean you lost your main star. But I will say that the show has improved exponentially with the new lead.
mm,
It actually is a much better show without her. And I was following the articles on TV Line about her coming out about all of these allegations about on-set behavior and castmates making trouble. And then there was an article that came out in last week, if I'm not mistaken, where someone actually said she was the problem. And you have to be
mm.
a really big pain in the ass for you to get fired from the show that you are the lead in.
Yeah. But I've heard like okay, I mean I've seen like rumors and stuff like that people have said like crew members and stuff have said that she's not a fun person to work with.
Yeah, apparently she was showing up late also, and then that delays everything for everyone else.
Mm,
And especially in like, I get that you feel like you are the big star of the show because you are the name recognition, but anytime it's an ensemble show, you have to be accommodating of everyone else. You cannot be the
mm,
diva. It will never work because all of that background tension behind the scenes translates on the screen as well. You can see when people don't want to be in the same room with each other, as great of an actor as they are.
mm. It's yeah, the chemistry shows. But I mean, maybe some of her allegations are true. I
Look,
mean, we
I'm
don't
not
know.
saying that I don't believe everything that she said.
Mm,
She definitely did raise some points, and obviously they need to investigate these things. But I think for her, it would be best to just let this die and move on. Because regardless of the personal drama here, I think that the
mm.
show has improved since she's left. Because the new lead and the cast, they actually have such great chemistry. So I think she needs to just let this one go and take the L.
And they recast her character, didn't they? Like, I mean,
They did. But the girl that they cast as the new Batwoman, she was only in like a few episodes. She was never meant to come in and take over as Kate Kane.
oh, but because what I read was that there's a new character being Batwoman, but then Kate Kane is a new actor also. They just like somebody can.
Yes.
I didn't watch this. So I'm like somebody can change faces.
Yes. So when Ruby left, they cast a black gay
Mm,
actress, to play the character of Ryan Wilder. And Ryan Wilder, not to spoil anything for anyone, she finds the bat suit and puts it on, and then eventually becomes Batwoman by a season long process of shenanigans. And then they did bring in a new Kate Kane as well. But they did a whole, you know how they do on the soapies where one day the face is just changed because of some weird surgery, and you just have to buy that this person's whole physical appearance has changed.
Oh yeah, like the bone structure and
The bone
everything.
structure, the height, everything. And I'm like, guys, the spirit of Marlena Evans is strong here.
Don't they do that on Dynasty as well? Like,
They did that on Dynasty. They even
I
had
love that.
Fallon playing her own mom on Dynasty once.
Like, make it camp, do that.
Exactly. If you're going to be ridiculous, then just lean all the way into it.
So but like in other news, I mean, I don't know how much we can talk about this, but like there's been a lot of news coming out about like bad sets. So obviously the Alec Baldwin situation
Yes.
is really sad. Because I mean, like imagine you shooting a gun like you think is part of a scene and it really fucking
And
kills
someone
somebody.
dies. That's the thing, eh? I saw a thread on Twitter that Natasha Montlake did, where she
Yeah.
explained that that gun that gets fired is only in the possession of the actor for the shooting of that scene. There are so many
Mm.
people who are working behind the scenes to ensure the safety of these things that honestly, I do think that it was an accident. I
Yeah.
would be blown out of the water if there is some big conspiracy at work here. Obviously, I also would love that because I love for drama, but I do think that this was just an accident and a very sad one at that.
But I'm also like, what kind of weapon? Okay, I don't know, ammunitions expert or weapon master would you be to give someone a loaded gun? Like, we, I don't understand like what would need to go in. Like, I did read Tasha's thread, um, but like, it's just wild. And I think maybe it is the conspiracy theorists in me who's watched too many
Yes,
like
yes.
CSIs and
Because me
stuff.
personally, I'm still of the thinking that, oh no, when they film with guns, it's not real. They
Mm,
add in the
me too.
bullets and the explosions and the things in post production and editing. Like that is a plastic gun. You can go to ShopRite and get that same toy gun in aisle 3. I didn't know that they are using like actual real live weapons, because that also makes me reconsider ever getting into acting or any kind of show business now that I know that they're dealing with live weapons.
But now they're trying to phase it out though. Like people they don't want to use it. Which is I mean, surely they can make proper fake guns. Do you know what I mean?
There was
Like they
actually an
can turn people
article,
into like
yeah.
Gollum.
But they can't make a fake gun look realistic.
Yeah. It's like some of the toy guns that kids play with look realistic to
Look
me.
realistic. That's
Like,
what I'm saying. I thought that they are just using fake guns from the jump. I didn't know that they are using actual weapons, because now it's like, should we be filming with guns, guys? And they said
mm,
that it hasn't happened in so long, but it's still a bit much, because there was
yeah.
an article on TV Line also. I don't know if you've seen that show, The Rookie,
No,
with
but
the
I
guy
know
that
of
was in
it.
Castle, right? That's a cop show. Um,
Mm.
and apparently, the EP on that show said effective immediately they aren't using live weapons on the show anymore, because obviously this is a cop show. Everyone is carrying
Mm.
a gun on set or in their scenes. So this was like a wake up call to the industry as well. Hey, people could actually get hurt here.
And like maybe it also took like an A-list actor. I mean, okay, we can argue whether Alec is A-list, but I think he
I
is.
would still say that he's A-list. I don't think that
Yeah, I
that
also
is
think.
something that they can take away from you. You have to fall off pretty hard to lose your station like that.
Yeah, so I think like it takes like an A-list actor to have to go to this traumatizing thing. Like, who knows if the same thing would have happened if I mean it would have been sad, yes, but like if it was, for example, on the Rookie, and one of the side actors, they had to shoot
Like an
alive. I
extra.
mean, yeah.
If it happened to an
Um,
extra, I absolutely guarantee you none of this would have been as big as it is. it's only because it was Alec or it was a big A-list star. There have been multiple shows where people are getting injured on set, people are getting paralyzed on set, but it's
Mm,
always stunt men or stunt crew or extras, never like anyone famous. So nothing really changes because no one
mm.
cares about the nobodies working behind the scenes. Sorry to say that, but that is the way that it generally works in Hollywood or in life
Be-
in general. No one's going to remember Halyna Hutchins' name 2 weeks from now.
it's the same like in I think in the it was like in the 80s, Jennifer Jason Leigh's father, he was killed on an episode of Twilight Zone with like a helicopter.
Huh?
Him and two kids were in like it was some kind of thing, but they got like chopped in half by this
Oh my
helicopter,
word.
and they were like murdered, and the director John Landis, he still went on to direct
He needed to finish
like
his things. Yeah, no.
coming to America and all of that stuff. And it was just like, oh, that was a sad incident, like for my career. But like, you still went on to do really big A-list
Exactly.
things. And, but like, it's because of like, I mean, obviously the director is the person in charge of the ship. So, I mean, what's been coming out, and I think is great about social media, is that all these crew members can like say they say, and they were saying like it was unsafe working conditions. We walked out because we union, and they just replaced us in a
Hmm.
couple of hours with non-union people.
Exactly. So
So
it's never going to be
now,
taken seriously if it's not anyone big.
yeah. So okay, let's move away from this onto happier news. So Kourtney and Travis got engaged this week. Um,
Travis.
I don't know. I don't know how you feel about Kourtney and Travis. Are you a fan or?
I don't want to say that I'm not a fan because that would make me sound like I'm anti Kardashian or whatever. But
Mm.
I think I might have also aged out of caring about the Kardashians in that way. I was obsessed when I was younger, but I am happy that she is happy. And obviously,
Mm.
with someone who she genuinely feels like she is ready to settle down. Because I read somewhere that apparently Scott did ask her to get married a few times, and she told him no every time because she never
Mm.
wanted to be married to Scott, or Scott was never ready for that type of commitment. And now she's settling down with Travis because she sees a potential life partner in this person. So I am happy for her.
I was just think that like because I feel like I saw this coming because he just seems extremely into her. Like, he just like he seems like, he's like 100% Courtney. And I don't know if it's a show or what, but it
I
looks
don't
like he's
think that it
genuine.
is. He might genuinely just love her.
Yeah, which
And
is
he's
which is
also
more than
been
like, I'm
through
not
like
saying
a
that
lot
Scott
of.
didn't.
Oh no, let's
Mm.
not even mince words. Scott was hot garbage from the jump. The only thing good
Yeah,
about Scott
but what
is
Scott was
how strong his swimmers are.
but also like it always felt like she was more into him than he was into her. Like with the show, I'm saying, like, I don't know about other things, but like when watching the
At
show, it
one point in
felt
the show,
like,
it felt like
she
she
was
was
like,
raising one more child than she actually had because Scott was more
mm,
of a child than a partner.
mm.
But
No,
apparently,
exactly.
the engagement got filmed for their new show on Hulu. So I'm excited to see how
Yeah.
they play that out on television because I don't think I've actually seen the engagement. I've only seen pictures of it. I don't know if there are any videos out online of the actual proposal.
I don't think so. I'll probably only just watch a clip. I like just like you about being aged out. I don't think I have it in me to watch another Kardashian show.
Oh, I'm not
Um,
going to watch the new show
so
at
I will
all.
probably,
But once the once the clip is out of the episode, once that hits YouTube, I'll definitely watch that.
yeah, same. But happy for them. They seem like cute, and she's always been my favorite. So I'm glad that she's found love, and I hope it's healthy and good for
Oh,
her. Um,
exactly.
so now we're gonna go into my chat with Reeva. We just spoke about horror, and it's mostly just her talking because I don't watch horror. So just like you in the beginning of this episode, it was me going, sounds cool. Does that not make you? Does that not make you scared? But, yeah. So now we're gonna go into my chat with Reeva. Hi, Diva. Welcome to What's IGN Crashing On podcast. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So it's Halloween coming up, and depending on when you when the listeners listen to this, so like obviously it's the time for like spooky and scary and freaky films, and because
Yeah.
I am a scaredy cat who doesn't really watch horror, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners do. I thought I would chat to you because you are such a horror fiend, and I've been following you on Twitter for so long, and you do your excellent film reviews and recommendations. And I will link your Twitter in the show notes and stuff. But like, it's such a great thing for people to find new things. So I thought I'll get you on to chat about some of your favorites and what do you think people should be watching. What is it about horror that you enjoy?
Okay, well, the thing is, I've always been a fan of the genre. And if I break it down, what particularly I enjoy about it is that it's a form of escapism. Like any fantasy film, it's a form of fantasy. You can be terrified, but you're still safe. You're
Yeah.
safe in your room, in your house. There's no one jumping out of the wardrobe, or there's no killer clowns that live in the bathroom. It's not real. So it's a form of fantasy for me. And what I really, really love about it is that I can get so into it. It's like an adrenaline rush. What's the noise? And is that a ghost or is that a tree? And it's just escapism. And I can enjoy it without actually being part of it.
Yeah.
So that's what I really love. I love about it. I just think it's really fun, and it's a great form of storytelling. Yes, it's pretty dark, can be dark, but I do think that it can be really fun as well.
And it must be like it's a pretty creative thing to be able to like to work out what will scare people and be able to do that correctly.
Yes, it is very creative. It's very psychological. You have to find out what scares people, because not everything scares people. People would be more scared of ghosts or more scared of bad dreams, and a lot of tactics that horror film makers do is the jump scare. You don't know what's coming. You don't know. You can't prepare yourself, basically, for what you don't know. If you're fighting an otherworldly creature, you don't know how to defeat it. You don't know what you can do in that situation. So I think horror filmmakers play on that fear, and they also play on fears of things that can happen in your home, like, home invasion films. So they also play on that as well. So I think that it's basically, they, in a way, exploit what we are afraid of in order to make a horror film without us actually being in danger.
It's so true. So what would you consider to be your favorite like horror film?
Okay, that's a pretty easy one. I'm a big fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I'm
classic.
a big Wes Craven fan. Yes, and it's the fourth film in the series that's my favorite. I remember watching it many years ago, and the fourth film is called The Dream Master. Very 80s, very B film, but it has one of my favorite final girls in it, and her name is Alice. And I just related strongly to that character. So for me, that film would be my go-to watch if I'm feeling in the mood for a horror film.
So what is a horror film that you think is like extremely underrated?
There are quite a bit of horror films that I think are underrated. It's usually horrors that are independently made. They have
Mm,
less influence from the studio because when you make a film, obviously you know that it doesn't happen in a vacuum. You have to answer to studio heads, producers, writers, actors. So I
mm.
like independent, really horror films. So if I'm going to say the top of my head, I would go with The Dark and the Wicked, I Trap the Devil, and Coherence is a really, really good film. So these are all came out a few years ago, so they should be easy to find.
Okay. And what is one that you think is overrated?
Okay, so I'm probably gonna make a lot of people upset, but I think the It remakes that
Ah,
came out recently are not what I would consider very well done. it, I just think that they present it as sounds so scary, and that's it. So the kids are scared, and therefore you have to be scared. It doesn't explain anything well. It doesn't explain why this creature kills children. It doesn't. It gives you no backstory. You're just supposed to be afraid of something because it's there. If you already don't have a fear of clowns, it wouldn't be scary to you. It would come
ah.
across as very silly. Other films that I do think are overrated, I would have to say films like The Blair Witch Project. Found footage is not for me,
Oh.
and I I don't want to make people upset, but I really liked Hereditary,
Mm.
but the final act of the film made it seem really goofy. If you're gonna do, it came across almost as comedic. If you're gonna do a horror comedy, you need to do it well and stick to that genre. Don't make it serious because that's not the tone of the rest of your film. You have to, if you're gonna make a horror comedy, for example,
Mm.
stick to horror comedy. If you're gonna do serious horror, which the beginning of Hereditary was, 90% of the film, it's fantastic. And then the end happens, and you're sitting there very dissatisfied.
I didn't know it went comedy. I haven't seen it, but I mean, I like from what
Well,
I saw, I thought it was a very serious movie.
no, it is. That's the thing. If you look at the trailers, the reviews, 90% of the film is quite serious. It's quite scary. And it really unsettled you. It's an unsettling film. But I think in order to tie up the plot, cover all the
Mm.
holes, I didn't particularly like the last act. I didn't think that the conclusion worked with the rest of the film. So if you do watch it, maybe you understand, what I'm saying,
Mm.
but it's very much that for me disappointed me. I sat in this. I remember watching it in the cinema, and I was left wanting. I was like, that ending just didn't work, which is a pity because it's a great story, great acting. I mean, I really loved it, but it's just the end. I would rewatch it and then not watch the end. So yeah, but I thought it was. Other than that, it's pretty good.
You know what you were saying about it, like I remember the like I don't know if it's you're gonna have to correct me, but like the previous adaptation, I don't know if it was like a TV movie or what,
Yes, it
but
was. It
I
was
remember
a mini
people were
series.
like terrified after that. And this after this version, people were mainly it was just like memes. I
No,
just,
you are absolutely correct. It was a TV movie. It was a mini series. I think it came in two parts because it was really long. Um, I remember watching that as a kid, and I rewatched it many times as an adult. It's still scary. It's very unsettling. It's very creepy, and it explains it well of why it needs to be scary and
mm,
why you need to be afraid. That's a lot of the why component of horror films is what would make it very interesting. Is you can't just be afraid of something. It needs to be explained to you why you need to be afraid. And I thought the remake didn't do that.
mm,
Whereas the It film of I think came out in 1990, it did that. And it
mm,
came out at a time where, I think that there weren't too many clown films, and I think it became overdone. So if you watch it as an adult, I still get creeped out. Because I just think it's done really well. And Tim Curry, who plays it, is great as the killer clown. So I think that's why it still works.
Yeah, he's great as everything. He's such a good actor.
Oh, I love him in everything.
He's so good. Oh my gosh. Um, so what do you think is a good entry-level horror for like non-horror fans?
Okay, I would start with the classic. I wouldn't want somebody to be introduced to a lot of gore and blood and guts because that a lot of people don't like that, and I think that can be overdone in films. So I would start them with Halloween, the 1978, the very first film by John Carpenter, and it's very simple. The simple story, it's effective. There's not much blood and guts, and it's very brilliantly done. It's a simple story with killer on the loose, like the story, and he hunts down people on Halloween. I would also say, Alien, the first Alien is very good. The Shining, and It, the first one. But if we're gonna get to more films that are easier to find, I would say Dawn of the Dead, 2004, Insidious, Get Out is obviously you need to watch, and The Conjuring. I think that the James Wan does a pretty good beginner horror, I would say. So try that. He's film.
I was like 10 or something like that, and I was away on like this trip, and these older kids were literally just telling us the story of The Shining. Now, obviously, I know more about it since, and like they were just telling the story as if it's like something that they like created in their head, and I was terrified. Like it was like I was getting flashbacks as if I had watched this film myself. And I was like, that is good if someone can tell your like the story of your film, and like it can scare in that sort of way without you even needing to show something. And it's no.
Exactly. So if somebody can make you scared by describing The Shining, then you know that the film itself is pretty scary. It is. I've watched it so many times. I remember being at university and my friend was studying film and she said, this Friday we're going to watch The Shining. Please come watch with us. I said, of course, I'll definitely go. So we go, and we were the only two people there.
Yeah, I probably skipped that lesson.
I was so shocked. I was like, even if you've seen it before, you have to rewatch The Shining. It's just a brilliant piece of cinema. And I would recommend that to everybody. Whether you like horror or not, just watch The Shining and you can never watch another horror again.
So what is your favorite like recent horror film?
Okay. That's very easy. I watched the new Candyman. I thought it was brilliant. The new take, I don't want to give too much away because I don't think I don't know who's watched it, but I will say the transition from being this boogeyman to being something that can be conjured to right wrongs, especially for the Black community in America. I think the transition from boogeyman from folklore to this real physical entity that can help people in situations. I thought that was a brilliant change. It was a very relevant change. And there's a lot of social commentary in the film. So I think it's made for today's time. And I do think it would have influence in other films, which I hope it would. I like horrors that are relevant and important, as well as they can be fantastical. I thought Candyman is a film that you should watch today, especially if you care about history and people's experiences, especially people of color. I would think so. You would need to watch that film. And if you want something not as heavy, I would recommend the Power. It's a British film, very small film. It's about a nurse who works the night shift in a hospital, and it would be great for South Africans to watch because they were experiencing load shedding in the film. So it would make sense for South Africans to watch that film. I think they could relate.
I want to ask you. So, like, you were saying about Candyman. It's I've read before that people, a lot of horror films like follow like current events. So people were saying like after 9/11 there was a lot of like home invasion films, and like, and now if you look at Get Out and Candyman and a lot of these Jordan Peele films that sort of like offer commentary on like race relations. What do you think of sort of like the horror sort of like offering a different type of social commentary on issues, or like reacting to what the world is?
I think it's a necessary step in order to keep horror relevant. Because like I said, horror can be fantasy and you can escape into this other other universes and other worlds. But I do think there need to be horror films that need to be socially relevant, like Candyman, like Get Out. It's just, you have to find, I don't want to say it's like a gimmick, because it's not a gimmick. People's lives are important and the experiences are important. And if you have it in the film, you need to treat it with respect. And what Candyman, for example, does, it treats the lived experiences of Black people with respect. And it shows what they go through every day and how their lived experiences, compare with this idea of this boogeyman that be conjured. Like in the film, they talk about the original man who was handing out sweets to the children, and he was killed by the police. There was no trial. No one was charged with a crime, and it was revealed that he wasn't actually a bad man. He was just a really sweet man who would give candy to children. And so it's like police violence, and that police violence is still happening today. So I think in order for horror to remain relevant and for the genre to grow, it needs to have films like this.
And yeah, it's probably a natural progression.
It is.
Yes. So what would you say is your favorite horror TV shows?
Okay. Well, I would say I'm a fan of, watching horror series. I still love Goosebumps, Tales from the Crypt, The Outer Limits. If I'm going to do more current, I would say Hannibal is definitely one of my favorites. Penny Dreadful, which I think ended too soon. I'd like to see more. But I think the ultimate, my favorite would have to be Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah.
Perfect.
So those are, like, Buffy is, has inspired so many series. I mean, that really set the bar really high. So I think that would be, those that I mentioned are my favorites. Oh, and the X-Files. I remember growing up watching that. I used to love the X-Files.
Oh my gosh, I used to get scared for the ads that used to come on SABC2. Like, just seeing like when they're coming up tonight, I'm like,
I remember watching the X-Files, and I don't know why it would freak me out. Just the theme song and the intro music, it would freak me out. But I was like, I am going to watch the X-Files, and I was like, maybe this week Cully will believe, but yeah, it's how it went.
It's really smart that they did it though. Like, to also,
it is very smart.
You don't think that like with TV shows, it's kind of it's different in that you got to kind of like have that sort of scare aspect every week, whereas in a movie you just have like like an hour and a half in which to do it, and when it's done. So you have to, with a TV show, you have to build that up every week, and even though that there's a probability your heroine or your hero is going to survive because they're going to be there for the next episode. I mean, I know Buffy dies, and then comes back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, she
dies twice. So
but I mean, that they probably will still be around. So the risk is lower than it would be if, like, you have one film and you don't know if everyone's going to die. So, like, it is an art in itself.
It is. I think that, TV horrors are great because you can have your main character die a few times. They can come back. I mean, Supernatural did that. But I do think that with films, you have an hour and a half to 2 hours. You got to tell your story. You got to get in and get out. But the problem is that when you have sequels, and sequels kind of take away that aspect of, how can I say this? See, the first film, you're very into it. You want everyone to survive. Obviously, not everyone does. And then at the end of the film, you have your final character and they are triumphant. And then the studio comes along with the second film and it's watered down. And suddenly you don't care as much. So that's why I think TV shows are great, because you can have, especially like limited series, you can have 6 to 8 episodes, flesh out your story, your characters, and it's done. Because I'm not a big fan of sequels. I think that sequels tend to undo what the originals.
Yeah.
If you cannot better your story, don't make a sequel. Don't make a franchise. It's just, it won't do your story any justice.
So what are your views on the upcoming Scream sequel?
Gosh, I'm gonna be honest. I have to be honest. I will complain that there's so many sequels, but I'm gonna watch it. That's the honest truth. Last week I watched Halloween Kills, and I did not enjoy it. I'm not gonna say much about that because other people should watch it. But I will be honest and say that I was unhappy, and it's so sad because I love the franchise. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna watch the new Scream. I have to know what happens. I've grown up with these characters. That I want to see Sydney. Show us what she's got. She's a great final girl. She's a great character, and what I love is that she survives. I don't know how. She's got no special skills, but she's a survivor. She's got her will. She survives by sheer will, and you have to love that about Sydney Prescott. So I'm definitely watching that movie. I'll complain the whole time, but I'm gonna watch it.
But Reeva, thank you so much for joining us. This was lovely.
Thank you for having me. I'm just happy to talk about horror, and I hope other people get into it, and they are more than welcome to ask me about it, and I'll recommend a film anytime, anywhere.
Okay, thank you so much, Reeva. Okay, welcome back to our favorite segment of the show, where we talk about what we've been crushing on for the last few weeks, what we've been super into. So, Sloan, as our guest, I'll let you go first. What have you been crashing on these last few weeks?
I think that my answer might be, I don't know if this is going to be a weird answer, but what I've been crushing on recently isn't necessarily a specific TV show, or I'm really, really impressed right now with the amount of streaming services out there. Obviously, I can't use the P word here, but we don't get all of those streaming services here. But the content that's out right now, that are on all of these different services, I think we are in the golden age of television right now. And it's so nice because, yes, you've got Peacock, you've got HBO Max, you've got Paramount Plus, you've got Disney Plus, and they are putting out content that blows Netflix out of the water. Because there was a time when Netflix was all we had. And I think that they are putting so much money into quality television right now that TV definitely is the new movies for me. And what I love about the streaming services is that they are so diverse in how they deliver the content also, because you've got some shows that will drop all 10 episodes at once, which is
Mm.
great. But then you've also got today we watched Top Chef Family Style, and Top Chef Family Style is on Peacock. It's hosted by Megan Trainor.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a top, you know, how the Top Chef concept where they cook, but it's a child and an adult family member. The two of them come and cook, and that they drop weekly. So it's like you're following on normal TV, but the quality of everything out right now, I think, is absolutely excellent.
Okay. I for me, like, I've just been like super into, okay, I don't know about super into, but the last few days, I went to watch Dune on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually mentioned this on a previous episode of the podcast, but I watched the older movie earlier this year, and it was like the most trash I've ever seen in my life. Like, it wasn't
The
even like that,
1984 one.
yeah. Like, for me, it
I'm
wasn't even
sure
like fun. Like, it wasn't even like,
it
when
was
something is
probably
bad, but it's like,
groundbreaking for its time, but if you look at it now, it's just,
no, man, it's not even that. I was like, how did Star Wars come out before this? But even Star Wars is the special effects now is like, but like, even that was better than this. It was just not, and I didn't. It was so many white people whose names I didn't know, and it was so confusing, and like the fighting was stupid and just like weird. Like, I just did not know what was happening. And then I was like, so I was a bit skeptical going into the new Dune because I'm like, I know Denis Villeneuve is a very good filmmaker and all
hmm
their goodness and this cast of Kwai, but like, how are they gonna make this? Because I mean, they previously said that Dune is unfilmable, like it's whatever. But like, I'm like, how are they gonna make this good? Like, at most you can make a good camp film, I think, out of this. But it was really, really good, and I was like,
Really?
yeah, I was like
No,
into
because
it.
I wasn't planning on watching this, eh? And I take your word as the law. So if you say that this is good, I'm going to watch this. So I need you to be honest with me. Was it
I'm
really
being
that good?
honest. It's like, um, I don't know what it is. Like, I can't even put my finger on it. Like, maybe it's just like, I like the cinematography and the sound effects, and I just got into the
hmm
story this time. And I mean, there's Oscar Isaac in it, and he's like, he looks so lekker. And
He looks
I'm not a
delicious
big
in
Jason
everything he
Momoa
does.
fan, but he looks good in this movie. And like, just everything just worked out nicely. This is sound weird, but like, something about Rebecca Ferguson's face annoys me. I
Really, I
don't know
love
what.
Rebecca Ferguson. I
I
don't
didn't like.
even
There's
know like
nothing.
when she first popped up, but every time I see her, I'm just like, oh my word, I know you.
I
And
don't
she
know what
does
it is with
action
me.
quite well, and I'm just really impressed every time I see her on screen, because I know I'm not going to remember what she did, but I know that she's solid. I know she won't be the
But
weakest link.
yeah, but she's quite good in in Dune. But I will say I did watch it at the movie, so I don't know if I'd watched it at home if I would have enjoyed it as much because I get very distracted when I watch things. So I'll be like on my phone
That's
or
why I
like.
hate watching movies at home, because for me to sit down for 90 minutes minimum to 2 hours, you will never hold my attention that long.
Mm.
I have to go and see a movie in cinema where I can't be on my phone, where I have
Yeah,
to
so
just sit and focus on the screen.
I actually do think that like added to why I enjoyed it so much because it was like I was immersed in it, and like it's because it's like with fantasy, it's like a whole new world you have to get used to and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Like, no, really, it's like if I had watched Lord of the Rings at home for the first time, I would never have enjoyed that movie. Never. I know myself. But anyway, yeah, that's my recommendation, Dune. Um, but yeah, thank you so much for joining us on the
Thank you
episode.
so
Welcome
much for
back.
having me. It's always a pleasure being here.
Yeah, we will see you soon again, probably. But
Absolutely.
yeah, but thanks so much, Sloan. Bye, everybody. See
Bye,
you in 2 weeks'
everyone.
time. The show is produced by me, Caryn, and Rebecca Barches. The show is edited and engineered by Rebecca Barches. Our admin is done by Leanne Phillipson. Our logo was designed by Nathifa Maroof. And the show was created in partnership with IGN Africa. If you like the show, tell everyone that you can, any way that you can. Keep up to date with our episodes by subscribing to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And please rate and review the episodes on Apple Podcasts, as it helps others find the show. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another in-depth conversation with a pop culture lover. See you then.